a former king who's now contained in ice. Here's your look at McFarlane Toys' DC Multiverse, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, King Kordax. A huge brute and true conqueror, Kordax dons ceremonial armor and wields a powerful magical dark energy that could ultimately prove deadly to both sea and surface dwellers. Well, at least now we know where Black Manta's trident went to. It came included with King Kordax. The figure actually, in fact, character-wise, was the first to wield the black trident before being imprisoned in ice. Before, of course, we look at the accessories, including that black trident, the tape measure at least tells us that King Kordax stands about 8 1/4 inches in height, or the figure's going to be about 21.5 centimeters tall. I do find this wave to be a little lean, though, with only 4 figures. The figures that we've already had a look at, of course, is Aquaman in his original suit. Then we did have a look at Aquaman with a much better head sculpt, I feel at least, with the stealth suit variation. And then my favorite figure, easily hands down from this wave, was also Black Manta. Surprised, though, that omitted was Orm. I thought Orm would have played a more significant role he seems to be, at least from what I've seen, plays a big role in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. But maybe because he's not going to be playing as much of a bad guy, they decide not to release him as an ocean master. And also, obviously, we never got ourselves a mirror, but I don't know how much mirror is actually going to play a role in the movie, again, not having seen it. And of course, all the gray stuff, all the stuff that happened behind the scenes could probably then justify why Todd and his team decided to omit mirror completely from this wave. Now, for those that were seeking the Black Trident and was disappointed like myself that Black Man didn't come included with it, you'll be happy to know at least that King Kordax is the one, like the original bearer of the Black Trident, is the one that wields the weapon. Before, of course, we look at that, the figure also comes included with a black display stand. Nothing really different here. You, of course, got the same DC logo printed down below, and again, one peg that can plug into either one of his feet. The figure also comes included with a trading card. The trading card, once again, seems to be using that app that makes everybody posterized or like cartoon characters. Bringing the other ones we've already had a look at. There was the Stealth Suit Aquaman, the original Aquaman, and of course we also had ourselves Black Manta. Just dropped the display stand. All of these will look nice inside my book. I think really honestly my favorite ones are still the Black Manta, and actually King Kordax doesn't look too bad. I don't know. I don't know if I like the idea of just taking live action characters and sort of cartooning-ize them. I know that's not even really a word. On the back, though, of King Kordax, he has really the shortest read-up. I mean, it really is only 3 lines. It's very quick and easy to read. In fact, it was very quick and easy to read. I read at the beginning of this video. So I'm going to add that with the rest of my trading cards. Picking up the stand that was dropped onto the floor. It's right over here. But yes, the figure does come included, in fact, with the Black Trident. Showing you guys, I'm just going to grab the one off to the side here that came included with Aquaman. Looking at them, I mean, the Black Trident is just a little bit shorter. It doesn't have maybe as much of the decorative details, and it looks to be like I've still got a little bit of tape there on the top. Let's just remove that right now. But it's about the same size of handle. The pitchfork end of it is a little bit more jagged here on the Black Trident. Though I will be, even really, like King Kordax is the one, the original bearer of the Black Trident. I might, for right now, at least have the figure displayed, I think, with Black Manta. So again, you can just take yourself your figure, open up the hands, the plastic on all these hands. I haven't really even done this. I should really heat the hands for Black Manta, because the plastic on all of these hands, really, except for the stealth suits Aquaman, it's about the only one that actually had really pliable hands. All the other plastics on these hands are really hard and rigid, and I've actually hurt my own fingers just trying to move the fingers on the figure. But anyways, you can get yourself the Black Trident. It's just a matter of me heating up the hands for Black. I'll keep wanting to call him Black Adam. Another movie. That was a different movie. This Black Trident, though, can be well wielded. I'm just tongue-twisting myself to death here. Can be actually wielded by King Kordax. It's just a case of putting it inside his hand like that. Ooh, like just the plastic. Oh, I'm wrecking my own fingers just trying to get these weapons in their hands. But you actually can get King Kordax to wield the Black Trident. The other hand, literally on the other hand, is kind of more of a powerful, power-hungry hand. He's imprisoned in ice, after all. I don't know necessarily, I feel like the figure necessarily need to have extra accessories. I mean, I think it's fine and good, even though I'm really going to be only pillaging this anyways to be displayed with Black Manta. He doesn't, I don't think, really need any other accessories. This is going to be one of those cases where generally villain figures don't tend to do well long after the movie has been surfaced, put on the shelf, so to speak. I mean, all the other hero figures usually are ones that are recognizable right away, so even if they're months on the shelf afterwards, kids and collectors will still likely pick them up. always it usually is the case that villains, for one reason or another, I think it's just because, again, like, they're tied so much quickly to the movie because they don't have necessarily a recognizable look outside of the films. I think once again the films start to cool off, figures like this start to continue to warm up, and that's warming up on the pegs. So we're going to go ahead right now, just remove the black trident. We're going to put that to the side. Getting, though, a closer look now at King Kordax. I actually really like the look of this guy. He looks like someone that would be stowed away on the ship with Davy Jones. He also kind of looks a little bit like Groot. Some of a mixing between the two. You kind of got these interesting looking details that they've got. Sort of the front of his face looks like that of maybe like a tree, like an old rotting tree. It's supposed to be, I'm sure, like sea life, or kind of like a rock face, for example. You got these really interesting cracks all across the surface of the front of his face. What eyes I'm sure these are supposed to be. He has kind of one more larger one on the one side and a slightly more slitted eye on the other. He does have some really gnarly looking teeth. In a way, I do kind of wish that this guy could have been a little bit bigger, and at the very least they could have incorporated some jaw articulation, because I really would love to see what would look like underneath the grill. Like, the teeth look just so gross. All of this, by the way, is a fairly soft plastic, so I don't know if you can actually gauge this by just the way I'm squishing his face like this. But this is all kind of more of a softer plastic. When we get down to his body, there's kind of soft and hard elements that we're going to kind of tackle together. One thing I also really like about the figure's back is if you look at the back of the head, he's kind of got all these little straggling strands of plastic. I don't know if it's just supposed to be like, again, like sea tentacles or things that are just naturally growing on his body. It's an interesting figure because it's one of those figures you could spend a lot of time just looking at and taking in all the details that they've actually put not only to the original design of him in the movie, but also the way he translated to plastic as well. Speaking of things that are textured, he also has some really interesting texture there on his shoulder pads. Now, these are softer plastics similar to his head. When it comes to moving his shoulders, which we'll not necessarily talk right away about, but it is going to limit a lot of the posability because, again, like, you're just going to get these shoulders getting in the way of things. And again, like, he's got a lot of bulk right around the collar area here as well. He has a lot of layers, which I really like about him, because of course he has like this collar piece that looks to be glued on top of the figure. I mean, if you look at it from the back, it's sort of a back collar piece that kind of holds the cape in place. But this looks like it's all adhered, so you wouldn't be able to really remove that. But it's sort of layered on top of a torso piece, and then on top of that, it's layered on top of the abdomen. This is a hard plastic. This is a slightly softer plastic. And of course, the skirting itself that he has on the front of his body on the sides as well is a softer, soft goods material as well. Detailing is really nice on this guy. I mean, he kind of looks also a little like Swamp Thing. This could easily be a bad guy that could be fighting Swamp Thing. Although the size of Swamp Thing, especially the one that we got from the DC Multiverse line, I don't know how much Kordax is going to stand a chance against him. I really like the material also that they use. Again, the soft goods cape on the back. It's got some nice little tears and rips and stuff in it. And just really nice age and wear to it. Flip it actually up so you can see what's going on underneath the hood. Again, you got some skirting there on the back that's also sculpted in the same similar brown plastic as obviously is on the front as well. Really interesting figure, but I feel like it's one of those cases that, once again, like, the figure, once the movie really does cool off in theaters, it goes to the physical media or the streaming services where people are going to be watching the movie. I think then long after that, you're probably going to be seeing, of all the figures, maybe the King Kordax, and possibly even Stealth Suit Aquaman being I feel like the peg warmers. I don't think Black Manta I dare say that Black Manta is ever going to be a peg warmer. If anybody is passing on getting that Black Manta, think again. Now, for the figure's articulation, I did already mention that the figure's going to be a little bit more limited. So the head's going to be on a ball joint, as it normally should be the case. But I've noticed, though, with the head for Kordax, every single time I move it, there seems to be some real serious resistance. I can move it back and forth, but while I'm doing it, I can feel like it's wanting to push against it. The head does look up, and it does look down only that far, and you can rock it back and forth as well. Now, the arms easily can rotate. That's not a problem at all. But combined with the softer plastic that they've used for the shoulder pads, combined as well with the softer plastic that they've used for the collar piece, it does make things a little bit more difficult when it comes to bringing his arms out. Getting only about 45 degrees is about as far as you're probably going to be able to get. You can push it a little further than that, but there's always, of course, the risk that these are going to get popped off in the process. The figure does have a swivel in his bicep. Figure also possesses a double hinge on the elbow, and the hands do rotate all the way around. I did notice, though, with these fingers, especially trying to open them up so you could actually wield the black trident, that these, between the harder plastic that they've used and then the pointer ends of the actual fingers, I've poked myself I don't know how many times now, and my fingers feel raw. The upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. The lower torso, you can actually see behind the skirting, does actually also have a ball joint. The legs do split out. They're going to be a little bit more limited again because he's going to have the skirts on the sides here. You can come out about that far when it comes to the figure's leg splits. The figure's leg goes forward and it also goes back. A swivel at the top of the thigh, double hinge on the knee, which is really good to see. And the figure has, again, articulation in his ankles, both this way. You can also rock them back and forth, although they're really tight, rocking them this way. And the figure, again, has toe articulation as well. Good looking figure. Ultimately, though, even though he was the original wielder of the Black Trident, once I can get the plastic to be soft enough on the hands, I'm ultimately going to be getting the Black Trident at least to Black Manta, at least for right now, for right now, until, of course, the movie cools off. Once the movie cools off, I've kind of given I've forgotten about the film by then. I think I'm probably just going to ultimately be taking the Black Trident from Black Adam and returning it back to his rightful owner. It's, again, a nice looking figure, but I feel really, again, when you're comparing it with the rest of the figure that we got from this wave, obviously you always have to put the big bad guy in there as well. I mean, I think from what I see, he's sharing the spot as well with Black Manta. Black Manta basically is going to be taking the Black Trident from him. But I feel like of the figures that we are getting, or have gotten from this figure wave at least, King Kordax would likely be the one that's going to be warming the pegs. Just because, again, like once the movie has worn its way, once the movie has found its way to be on theaters, then the physical media, and then forgotten after that, I think also King Kordax, I hate to say, will also be forgotten. Just as forgotten as he is in the film, apparently encased in ice. King Kordax may very well be one of those cases that while he may be a forgettable figure in the long run, for the short term at least, he's a really interestingly sculpted figure, and I feel to the credit of McFarlane's team and talented artists that work for the company, they did put a lot of work, to be fair, in the sculpting of the figure. Something I didn't really get the chance to show you guys is underneath his tattered cape, he actually has sort of kind of his spinal cord sticking out, and I think, again, like adding it all up to the rest of the figure's details, there's a lot going on here that really wasn't as much the case when we looked at maybe some of the other figures. To be all honestly fair, like all the other Aquaman figures from the Lost Kingdom have all been nicely sculpted figures, but King Kordax, even being really the forgettable figure, I think when it's all said and done, is really the best sculpted one. It may not have as many of the paint applications, though. Not something really I tackled too much in this review, but while he is sculpted really nicely, again, I would have just appreciated a little bit of a wash over top of the surface of the plastic just to bring out some of those details. There's so many of them on there. Just the work that they put so much into sculpting the figure, I wish that paint could have been also applied to it so that a lot of those features could stand out a lot better than what they are right now. And while, again, I've got the figure displayed right now with the Black Trident, ultimately, though, I will be stealing this away from King Kordax and giving it to at least the temporary bearer of it, Black Manta, until eventually, again, I've seen the movie, and like everything else that's really in my collection space, everything really has a limited amount of time. I usually put these things on the shelf that are a tie-in to movie figures. In fact, the Black Adam figures I took down probably like about a month or so ago. They looked great on the shelf, but with the time and the space that's always fleeting in my collection, I had to kind of put them away for right now and put out the new movie toys. And of course, the new movie toys, for right now at least, are the ones that we got here from Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. What do you guys think, though, of King Kordax? Let me know down below in the comment section. Do you think there's enough interesting things about this figure that's worth still picking up? And if it isn't, what of the 4 figures that we looked at from Aquaman are the ones that you'll likely pick up? For me, right away, Black Manta. If you are just kind of having a budget to assign for one figure of the entire 4-figure wave, definitely dedicate that money towards getting Black Manta. You won't be disappointed. But again, what do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. Hey, as well, if you guys enjoyed this video, want to hit with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and want to stick around for more, sad news, though, is the report. Obviously, as we've already been only looking at 4 figures, 4-figure reviews go by real quickly. I mean, obviously, we're going to be wrapping up now things for the Aquaman and Lost Kingdom, but that's not to say, it's not to say that we aren't going to be looking at some more DC Multiverse reviews. In fact, I've got a whole stack of stuff still to go through. It's definitely going to be more coming your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.